All right.
I shall be right back.
Okay, Turtle, can you go ahead and check the stream, see if it's working?
Sure. Is this the YouTube link you posted? No.
Mm.
Can you post the link?
Sure, give me a second.
And I have returned.
All right, Donovan, can you check the stream? I don't have a link in front of me. I know you know where it is.
So it's getting a little cold. I'm gonna go put something a little bit warmer on. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
You on Twitch or YouTube?
Both.
Fuck. The person streaming on the front fucking page is a brown-looking woman.
That's racist.
In red, in blue.
Okay.
I don't know if that's like something to do with Mario or Wario or something, but there's a logo on it. And
okay.
She's dancing.
Roll Tide.
Like, she's not, scantily clad or anything like that.
I mean,
she's just dancing.
Dance is an important part of any healthy culture.
Mm-hmm. I like her hair. Black and red. Very long.
But is the stream working, Donovan? That's what we all want to know.
Got a little distracted there. My bad. Oh, fuck. I don't know what my password for that is. Yeah, YouTube it is. Pineapple pizza and other absurdities.
I'm back.
All right, so Donovan, you got to check the sound here. So say something and then mute yourself, and then we'll see if we can get a sound check as well.
Yeah, it's fine.
All of us are coming through. You can hear the music.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, what's the lead music for this, guys? We have to have like an intro song.
I don't know.
Let's see.
Right?
Let's see. Okay, well, it's about like pineapple pizza, right? And other absurdities. so pineapples, islands. Oh, yeah, there we go. Alright, not this. This is not the song that I wanted, YouTube. Here we go. This one's good. But none of y'all out there in Radioland have heard this. But we'd like to welcome you all this evening to Packed FM, Radio 660, The Beacon. And we're going to be trying something new tonight. We call it Pineapple Pizza and Other Absurdities. With me this evening, I have the famous rapper, Young Dan Rather himself. Can you go ahead and say hi?
Hello, good evening, everyone.
I'm also joined by the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. Justin, thanks for joining us. How are you this evening?
I'm just fantastic. Thank you for having me.
And as always, I am John Cena, and you'll never see me coming. And this is Radio 660, The Beacon. So we have a show tonight. We have a list of things I'm looking at. In my hand, I have a list of names of topics that we came up with in advance, and we're just going to talk about them, because apparently that's a thing that people like.
Who knew?
Allegedly, yeah.
According to my sources. This is something that people like. So, first off the stack, and all of these questions tonight were submitted by Jeremy Clarkson. Thanks again, Jeremy. It's great to have you be such a big fan of the show that doesn't even exist yet. So the first one up is AR versus VR. So I guess which one wins? Augmented reality versus virtual reality. Which one wins? Which one's better? Where are we with them? That kind of stuff. So, why don't we go over to our sort of hot take desk where young Dan Rather is sitting, while Justin Trudeau on the Google desk Googles some articles about this shit that we can talk about. So, hot take, Dan. AR versus VR? What you got, man?
You know, the other day I was listening to NPR and their Marketplace report, and they were talking about this exact topic. And I had a gentleman on. He was talking about how he feels that if VR is ever going to really take off, it's going to need to find more of a niche market, more of a market than specifically just the video game industry and some other smaller industries. And that's why he feels AR has a bigger opportunity for full market value, and I agree. Simply because AR can be augmented reality can be used in larger areas of the world and has much more marketable value, in my opinion. Do I say that virtual reality is never gonna grow out of like where it is right now into something that's more widely used? No. But I feel like it's going to require money and people willing to invest, and companies willing to see revenue opportunities based on these things. And right now, I think augmented reality has the more revenue opportunities available to it.
Yeah, no. And so have you both seen Electric Dreams?
I've not. What is this?
Okay. Sounds familiar, but it doesn't recall.
All right, so Electric Dreams is a new series. Came out on Amazon a while back, Amazon Prime Video, and it's basically based on the writings of Philip K. Dick. It's like a hard sci-fi, hard technology version of Black Mirror. See, Black Mirror is more about politics. Electric Dreams is more about futurology and like the big problems, the big questions about AI and things like that. And highly recommended. You all need to watch it. But what this was making me think of is there is this thing they have, basically, without giving out any spoilers, the shtick of the show is that, well, I guess let's get to Electric Dreams down the road. You need to watch that one too. What about Altered Carbon? Have you guys seen that one?
I've not seen that one either.
I have not.
That one's on Netflix, and both of these are talking about the same types of issues. But Altered Carbon is really the one that deals with AR the best. Sort of Electric Dreams is dealing with VR. So in Altered Carbon, the shtick is that human consciousness can be put into this little plate and re-sleeved. So like when you die, they just take your little chip and put it in a different body.
Sure.
Okay. And so the only way to actually die is to have that shot out. Okay. And so basically what happens is that like a Superman from the past is brought back to solve a murder. Okay. But in the process, he's like catching up with where all the technology is, and he gets this contact lens thing. And when he's like walking around downtown, he's stoned off his face and all sorts of crazy, future drugs. And he sticks this contact lens into his left eye. And what it is it's a HUD. And so he's like walking around. It's this really dingy, horrible area. And there's all these holographic, like, presentations going on. There's like video. So like he walks by like a fight arena. And there's two guys that show up. They're giant and they clash like right where he is. Like kind of the idea from Back to the Future when there's the shark that comes out of the movie theater, the Jaws like 3D thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly like that, but on like, this is an advertising scale. And so he's losing his shit. And one other character, the cop that's trying to, I don't know, help or whatever, comes by and like puts an ad blocker on his neck. And like it all goes away. And I'm sitting there going like, yeah, I want that. Why can't we make that? And I don't understand why, because Google Glass was dumb. I just want a screen that I can superimpose over my vision, and little widgets that I can put on it, kind of like a desktop used to be. Because like nowadays, we don't spend too much time looking at our desktops. We're always in a browser or in a game or both.
Right.
Yep.
Because it's just like, we need the screen real estate. But if you could keep all that static information about, hey, I want to have the news kind of ticking along over the top, and I want to have some recommended videos or whatever going, things of that nature, why can't I just have that superimposed over my vision? That seems something pretty trivial to do. I know that Microsoft has an AR headset. It's a wearable computer, a holographic computer. And what it does is it basically has a small letterbox. That's how it works. It superimposes a screen over the world, and you can set up your house so that when you walk by certain areas, when you look at the wall, it will have whatever picture you put there or whatever screen you have there. If you want your weather to be on your breakfast table, it is. But the problem with it is only this small letterbox in the center of view. And I don't think it'd be useful unless it's full field of view. But I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on that? I'm curious.
Well, I think augmented reality is very interesting. I mean, just looking at pictures of it, just you're in a restaurant and you look at the menu and the menu pops out at you and you can scroll through the menu, in real time and whatnot. I think that would be pretty cool. But I don't know. I feel like maybe it would, like, people would become dependent on it. So if somehow all of a sudden it just was no longer there, a lot of people would just be left lost, whatnot.
I think my thought is when does it become too much?
Yeah.
When do you officially lose? When do you officially lose the human element of the reality of a reality around us?
Mm-hmm.
Like when have you crafted so much your own version of the world around you that you've lost like the natural world, if that makes any sense where I'm going with that?
Sure.
Yeah, where you've lost your grip on the true reality.
I think that brings up some interesting points. And I mean, you guys know that I'm basically a hardcore transhumanist. I think that we need to figure out how to upload ourselves into computers as soon as possible before it's too late. But I think that concept, it's very common when you have transhumanist discussions, right? There is this sense that there's a gulf, however small, in between, like, when in Star Trek, right? When you go through the teleporter, you know, aren't you dead? Or, like, it's you on the other side, but there was some little moment where you weren't either place, right? And that sounds an awful lot like death, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's the question: is like, what is real, right? And I guess I think that I believe that it's most logical that this is a simulation. What we call natural reality is in fact a simulation, and all we would be doing is saying, well, we're going to sort of seize control back from the simulator, right? Because the thing that's strange about this simulation is that we are all Turing machines inside of it. So it'd be like if you built Guild Wars, but you made everybody real, like everybody sentient, and you expected them not to try and break out. So my view of it is that as long as you can tie people into it, as opposed to having this sort of machine, this Frankenstein machine, where you go in and it zaps you and then you're in a computer, I believe that if you slowly integrate people and computers, we're already doing that. We're exchanging long-term memory for the ability to remember where things are. So I don't need to know what my shoe size is. I need to know where the file on my computer that has that information is. I don't need to know how to fix my computer. I just need to know how to find information about how to fix my computer. You see? So what I'm arguing is for something I call psychoergonomics, where you basically make technology, which is already way too complicated for everybody, and make it so that it's extremely powerful, but also very simple. Problem that I have with Apple is that they just made things simple and sacrificed power to do it. So I think that you need to come out with something like a HUD or like a holographic computer that allows you to interact with the digital world in a natural fashion. So your brain becomes more adapted to doing that, and then it becomes more natural because it's part of natural experience. It's not this artificial zap, you're in the Matrix. It's more like, let's bring the Matrix and reality together. I think that that's more real.
Well, yeah, I guess that eventually people would adapt to it, and it would become a part of everyday life. Wouldn't seem like a different kind of reality. It would just be reality.
So what do you think about that, Turtle? The concept that you could collapse the waveform of our reality and alternate reality to make a new reality, a sort of consensual hallucination.
Sorry, repeat the question one more time. I'm like debating in my head, but I would like to hear the question one more time.
Oops, and I left my podcast mic off for that. But yeah, basically, how do you feel about creating a new reality that's a combination of alternative reality or augmented reality? Let's call it that. Augmented reality plus reality equals alternative reality. What do you think about that?
But the question I would have is, would it be something you would be permanently affixed to, or is it like you come into it and you come out of it?
Yeah, I think that it'd be very important so that it was, consensual, right? you could put on your glasses or take them off.
I still think, I think as long as it's like a consented thing, I think it's totally fine. It can be have a lot of uses and a lot of potential there. But I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
as long as it's not something forced upon you, I think it's okay.
yeah, because I mean, it could open up a whole lot of opportunities, like you said, like for example, the sciences. Who knows what kind of discoveries people could make with an augmented reality or an alternative reality?
I'm just like thinking off the top of my head. I think something that could be possible with that is, for example, like surgeons being able to see and or like students being able to see like augmented human bodies where they can interact with it and look at it, but it's not real, obviously, but it's enough real reality there that they can actually like experience and work with these things together.
Well, I'm thinking something, if you want to go on the medical side of it, what about for a surgeon? They have loaded into their HUD, they're seeing all your vital signs. Yeah. Just like in like when we play a video game, we have our dashboard that gives us the important shit. What about that? So they put it on and they're like, they don't have to have 8 other people watching it for them. They can watch it. They can overlay, okay, we're going to put a schematic of your body and then this is exactly where I need to cut. Have like a targeting reticule.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. Like as they're operating on you, like trying to remove a tumor or a cyst or something, they, their HUD would like highlight what they need to cut out and where they need to cut, what angle, so on, how deep, so on and so forth. That would help a lot, I think.
And then, can you just imagine how much easier it would make traveling? You just have like a giant line that you follow. It would just be like in Guild Wars. You're like, where's the green star? I just need to drive to the green star.
Yeah.
Or have like illuminated pathways, or let's say you go to an anime convention. Those are really complicated and hard for me to navigate because I'm terrible with directions. And sort of visualizing interior spaces.
They just give you an arrow, essentially.
Exactly.
Where to go.
Exactly. It's just like, I want to go to this seminar. Walk down here, go over here, you're there. It would take away so much stress out of my life to have something like that. Or if, because I have to monitor lots of stuff for work. If, something goes wrong, it would just come up in the corner of my screen. And so I'm still out and about doing things and being able to, participate in life. But I'm also able to get the information that's important to me without having to use this other device. I don't like having to pull out a phone, press a button, swipe a swipe, type in a password, and then do the thing. Right? I just want it to happen. And then if I need to type or something, I can pull out a Bluetooth keyboard or, have one on my wrist, and then I can just type back. That would be a useful piece of wearable tech. And I don't understand why they don't exist.
Maybe because the technology simply isn't there yet.
Well, you'd think that, but then there was Google Glass. So imagine Google Glass, just instead of Google Glass apps, it's just a screen. Like any other screen.
Google Glass turned into a flop.
Exactly, because they had all these baked-in apps. I'm saying just give me a screen that I can put things on. Let me stream to it. You could even just have it do that. Plus,
everybody wanted to use it for porn. So,
or for whatever purpose.
Well, that's all really, that's probably what's going to make VR stick, is VR porn. Yeah. Especially with teledildonics, where you can actually sync up sex toys with the porn and put on the VR headset. And at that point, it's fundamentally indistinguishable from, like, are you kidding me? We're basically to the point where you can have digital prostitution, like interpersonal digital prostitution. That's what's gonna make VR stick. What do you guys think about that? There you go. What are the ethics of like sex bots and virtual reality sex waifus? Like what's the uncanny valley that we're dealing with here?
You know, I think
Right.
is it our right to say what is in the market in a free market situation? Is it our right to be able to say what is ethically okay? I mean, in a way, is it illegal? Is it hurting anyone?
Yeah, that's basically, I think, where you draw the line. Like, do like, say, digital pimps or whatever, like, do they treat their employees, I guess you say, their hoes, as as like slaves, or are they treating them well? Are they are they just using them to make money?
Sure, but all right, so so that's important. But like, let's fast forward 15 years in the future. Somebody's come up with an AI that they can put into sex robots. Okay, the AI is fundamentally indistinguishable from a person, and they sell services where they program these AIs to do whatever the fuck you want. It's order your perfect waifu woman. But it's not a real woman. It just looks like one, feels like one, acts like one, and is indistinguishable from one.
Aren't they having this problem? Aren't they starting to have a problem with like online stuff and guys not getting out and meeting actual people in Japan?
Yeah, Japan's birth rate is declining rapidly because in a combination of reasons. Number one, they have the hikikomori problem, which we have in the United States as well. People that just aren't doing anything and live in their parents' basement. They also have an economy that's designed to, well, I mean, Turtle, you said it best, so let me pull that up. Let's see. So the thing you gotta understand about the Japanese is
They have a lot of weird, messed up erotic fantasies.
so they've designed an economy, a sex economy, that is so hyper specialized, but entirely devoid of emotion. Like, if you want to go and pay somebody to pretend to be your girlfriend for a whole day and just cuddle with you and kiss you and hold your hands and laugh at all your jokes, you can do that. If you want to pay to go see a girl, like, try on shoes, you can do that. Like, anything you want in the whole world, you can pay to go see it. There is somebody that will do that for you. But there's no relationship. So there's no need for a relationship because you can get all these things on demand. But it's the only thing that anybody wants. And it's happening with the girls too, because there's this thing called a host cafe, where you can go and it's like awesome, pretty boys will just pay attention to you and fawn over you and get drunk with you, and you just pay them by the hour. And so the girls are all doing that, and none of the guys actually measure up to these fantasy men. The fantasy men are actually dying in record numbers because of damage to their livers, and nobody's reproducing. And so, when realistic sex bots come on the line, that's going to be the same question. I mean, it's going to make birth rates plummet. However, at the same time, yes, the birth rates are plummeting in these, Western countries, hyper-tech countries, but they're going up in places like Africa and the Middle East and South America.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. It's an interesting time to be alive because of that. So should we not have sex bots? I mean, I feel like sex bots have a lot of positive arguments you can make for them. Right? A lot of school shootings probably wouldn't happen if there were sex bots.
I don't know if I can necessarily agree with you there, but I can see merits.
Yeah, stress relief.
And I'm not saying just pure sex bots. I'm saying like companion bots, right? Not even necessarily for the sex aspect, but for like, this is a person who very clearly needs a friend. At least one. I think everybody deserves at least one friend. And there are tons of people out there who have zero friends. So a companion bot that was also capable of sort of helping you balance out hormonal imbalances, or take out negative energy, might be useful. But then you get into the question of like, okay, so it's not real, but like, what if your whole thing is, you know, stabbing people to death? So, yeah, you're not stabbing a real person to death, but you're stabbing something that's basically a real person to death. You know, when does that become not okay? I don't know. What do you think about that, Turtle? I mean, Dan.
Mr. Rathers.
Sorry, I got distracted one more time. I apologize. Could you repeat the last sentence of your question?
Sure. Okay, so what if, so you've got your sex bot or your companion bot, and what if what if your weird, messed up erotic fantasy is stabbing women to death? And you stab your companion bot to death, and you just order another one, and you do this for years, and you don't do it to any real people. How do you feel about that?
I still think that's granting a way for people to develop those instincts and develop those tendencies. So now, if someone has a mind like that, where they believe that kind of thing is okay, what's to say that there isn't a small step from doing this, like, oh, this person thing that I have in my house talks like a person, acts like a person. If for someone who's mentally ill, it can be a small step from saying, oh, this person I just met on the street is just like that thing I'm able to do this with at my home. Why can I not do this now with this random person I found on the street?
Yeah, so I totally agree with you. So there are, like, you shouldn't be able to kill companion bots. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, then aren't we kind of playing with, well, then that's pretty similar to a person. Right? We can't kill them, even though they're property. So are they pets? But they're way smarter than pets. And they can perform all the same tasks that humans can.
Are they sentient?
Well, how do you even tell?
Yeah, they could be pretending.
This sentience.
Exactly. What is sentience? We'll go around the table. We'll go around the table. What is sentience, and how would, if you were a companion bot, how would you prove to a human that you were sentient? So we'll go around the table, and then we'll move on to the next of our luxurious topics this evening. Over to you, Justin Trudeau.
Over to you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Well, sentience. First off, what is the definition of sentience? All right, a feeling or sensation as distinguished from perception and thought. No, I don't like that one.
Yeah, that sounds pretty vague.
A little bit. So sentience is the capacity to feel, perceive, or experience subjectively. So to feel, perceive, or experience subjectively, i.e. within one's self. So, I mean, if the companion bots can somehow feel emotions...
well, let's say they can't, but that they say that they do.
Thinking then I don't feel that it's true sentience.
Well, no.
But how could you know? Like the companion bot is saying, "I love you," you know, you make me feel happy. It looks happy, is acting happy.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to tell whether they are or are not happy? It could all just be code, you know, or it could be real, but how do you tell the difference? And I think that goes back to the same thing about, you know, virtual reality versus augmented reality and where that stops.
Mm-hmm.
Is,
well, I mean,
what is real? Like, how do you prove something is real? How do you prove something exists?
I think one of the key words there is subjectively, right? So even though it may be code to the bot, it's real. They might not, you know, the bot might not know it's code, but maybe the bot actually is feeling, you know, experiencing love or happiness or whatever, and you as the person, you can see that the bot is happy, or, you know, you can hear that the bot says I love you and all that other stuff. So I mean, you have no evidence to state otherwise that the bot is happy or in love with you. So I mean, reality in my head, reality is nothing more than sensual perception, you know, being able to hear, see, smell, touch, so on and so forth. So I mean, all of the information is there to state that the bot is sentient. So does it really matter if it actually is?
Yeah, I like that take. Dan, what about you?
Take.
Hot take.
What is sentience?
Hot take.
Sentience is, to me, sentience is a, well, see, if I said it was when it gets, someone can make their own decisions about their existence, I think there are already AIs in a way that make those sort of choices. Like IBM's, what is that thing called? Watson. Watson's making its own decisions about its existence, isn't it?
I mean, to a certain degree, yeah.
I think if something becomes sentient when it's able to completely make decisions that affect its existence and its growth as a species.
So it has an element of it has to be able to reproduce?
No, has I think that's no. I think if it's able to fully comprehend like the actions and choices and have that.
See, it's a sticky subject, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
you know,
a
it's
really hard answer.
It's something where I don't think that we could actually tell whether or not it's already happened. I don't know. I don't think that. I think we're at a point, you know, and I think we can even go back to the last election where more or less we cannot tell whether or not something is a true statement or a made-up statement. Right? We can't determine the truth or falsehood of many things. There are just an infinite number of people on both sides saying yeah-huh, nah-huh. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wouldn't be surprised if out there somewhere, they're like in, you know, some computer scientist's basement, they've accidentally got this companion AI that's alive and that's doing things. And we wouldn't even know. You know, it's possible that these learning algorithms and these advertising algorithms are sentient to some degree, acting independently to some degree. You know, they're so complicated. It's like the stock market. I don't know if I've talked about high frequency trading algorithms. But this is some spooky shit. So basically, nobody actually knows what the stock market means anymore or how it works, because all of the big trades that set the market are done with robots. They're with these robots that learn and react to one another and make trades tens of millions of times a second. Like, I watched a video once where they basically, they're like all connected together with like copper bars, like high bandwidth. They go straight to the banks. And I watched this video where they slowed down like 3 seconds of trading to where it took 24 minutes. And it was stunning. It was absolutely stunning. There's just all these shares being traded around. I'm saying, so we've created this entity that plays with a number. that's attached to our economy, and we place bets on it when we buy stocks. That's the stock market. It's basically like making an offering at an altar to some strange alien god. Where are the other things like that? And I bet they exist.
Well, I wonder when was officially the time that that officially became the thing.
Who knows? Who knows when it seized control from us? But I don't think many people have even noticed yet. You know, it's an interesting thing that, I talk about sometimes with your phones and the mobile games. And all those is dopamine delivery systems.
100%.
Right? And the thing about that is that if you're going to do behavioral training in the animal world, what you do is you manipulate behavior using dopamine impulses. So we have computer-controlled dopamine injectors that work telepathically, training us in the Skinner box of the internet how to live our lives as good consumers. How spooky is that?
Super, actually.
So the next time you fire up Farmville, realize that you are the reason the military-industrial complex exists. Speaking of the military-industrial complex and the government, which shouldn't exist, it should just be one guy sitting in a shack with a phone that's colored red, and he can launch the nukes or not. That should be the United States government in its entirety. But Jeremy Clarkson was wondering if we had an opinion on the teacher strikes. And I don't know too much about this. Dan Rather is a correspondent with the National Teachers Association Union Incorporated Affiliated LLC, sponsored by Geico.
I am. Oh, fantastic.
Get 15% off on your car insurance or more by spending 15 minutes at geico.com.
Thanks, Geico.
Can you give us some more information about this teacher strike? Like what's going on? What's occurring?
Sure. Let's pull up some data right quick so I can give. Oh well, original. This is happening in two primary areas, two primary states where the West Virginia was where it really started. West Virginia ranks as of right now. Well, they might not be there anymore, but West Virginia, as of before the teacher strike, ranked 49th in 49th in teacher pay out of states. It was the 49th lowest in pay. Oklahoma is actually number 50, and they're next up. The West Virginia, basically the teachers in West Virginia went on strike so that they were trying to make it known that they needed a pay raise, and that their lack of their healthcare benefits were too lacking to compete and work with the current healthcare marketplace right now. Just the cost of healthcare was far too high with the amount of benefits they were receiving from the state. So they went on strike, and the teachers eventually, they were on strike, I believe it was 9 paid days. They eventually received a 5% pay hike from the governor, and that was voted and that was passed by the state legislature and voted and passed by and signed by the governor, so it officially became a law. However, now the states like Kentucky and Arizona and Oklahoma are starting to vent frustrations from their teachers as well about how they rank and how little they are paid as well, and how that and how they might be willing to go on strike to try to get the pay increases they feel like they deserve.
So we've got a nationwide wave of government teachers walking out to get pay raises on our hands. Is that the gist of it?
I don't feel it's going to be nationwide, but I definitely feel like there will be a larger percentage of people who there's going to be a large percentage of teachers who are going to be stepping out. I feel or at least this summer, once school is out, I feel like there's going to be a large conversation across several states about what is fair compensation for teachers and if what is being offered right now is appropriate or not for the job they do.
So I guess one thing for me, because I guess I had very few teachers that I actually thought were worth very much in terms of salary, like value that they provided to the marketplace. I've had a lot of teachers too that I felt like provided a lot of value to the marketplace and should have been paid more. How do you handle the disparity? Because there are a lot of bad teachers, I think we can both admit.
Yes.
How do you say, let's reward the teachers that are doing a good job, and what is the rate that you want them to get? And then how do you prevent that rate from just getting wasted on the people that, you know, barely even show up, barely do their jobs, and are collecting this paycheck because it's easy for them?
You know, I think that's really a heart of the issue here is how do you show merit for a good teacher, and how do you determine who gets the compensation levels and not? And I think pardon me, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second.
It looks like Dan Rather has been pulled away to deal with some kind of domestic emergency. Oh, I think our Canadian office has been hit by a meteor. Oh, okay, he's back.
Sorry.
Welcome
back. The Canadian office has been hit by a meteor.
Yeah, the Canadian office has been hit by a meteor.
Wow.
Oh no, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
We are living exciting times, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you give us an update on the damage from the meteor, Mr. Trudeau?
Yeah, it's raining monkeys over here. You know, it's there's a massive crater and it's just
monkey storms, man.
Monkey storms and meteors.
Monkey storms have moved from South America in recent years, is because of global warming. The monkeys are not actually South American monkeys. They are monkeys that have migrated from Antarctica.
Yes.
And they're the terrifying ice monkeys that your mother always warned you about. So be on the lookout for that. Maybe we'll get to see a cool fight between some teachers and some ice monkeys. That would be interesting to see. But yeah, go back on to what you were saying about how to, you know, I do think that is probably about the heart of the question is, you know, how do you balance between the people that should get paid more and the people that get paid way too much in a field as diverse as teaching?
I think the first thing that comes from it is I think might not resonate well with other teachers, but I live in a state where there are no teacher unions. There are no teacher unions, and it is established a lot by the districts and who stays and who goes based on the principal and whatnot. And I can see pros and cons to that. I can see pros to unions and teacher unions and how they are able to defend and fight for the rights of teachers. However, also it becomes apparent that since in certain places teacher unions have so much authority and so much power that they can keep whoever they want in the field. It doesn't matter how little or much they offer for these kids. They can be kept in the field, and I think that's unfair to teachers who put in all the extra effort and actually put in the work in order to make a difference in the education of children. I think that's the first thing, is that teacher unions have a lot of power and some of it is quite misguided and misplaced. Secondly, I feel that there is a nationally there's a very difficult to put a qualifying factor in what makes a good teacher. Is it test scores? Is it is it the completion percentage of these is it the students showing up? The is it showing that the students actually learned something? Is it a goal? Is it a numbered goal, or is it a like a, for instance, is it like a what am I trying to say? Is it a numbered score on a test, or is it a field of the students started here and now they're here? I'm more of in the more in that boat personally, where I feel like every student is different after working with students. And to put every student on the same chart and saying, if you can't pass this certain exam, or if you can't get these certain scores on these certain things, then you have failed. But if you look at a child and say that they started here and then they were able to get to here, and this showed this percentage of growth, that I think that qualifies more as a success. But do you judge and grade teachers based on the growth of their students?
Yeah, because I know when we were going to school, it was all about standardized tests.
Oh, it still is. In the state of Texas, it still is.
Yeah, and that just, I don't know, that never seems to me to be a really accurate metric of anything. You know, it should be more about a range, but then, you know, what do you do at the beginning and the end of that scale? You know, you can't put everybody on a range and have that be accurate, because, like, you know, let's say somebody is just, you know, terrible at school, right? And, you know, just absolutely terrible. And, you know, it's a struggle for them just to learn, like, how to read, right? And that's, like, a very small thing, comparatively. So, do we take their effort into account? Like, if they just try and they don't get anywhere, does that count? Or do they have to get across that range? And then how do you, you know, band that range? How do you make that range definite? I think those are very interesting questions that we have to ask. And, you know, how do we say that teachers are, you know, paid? Because that's the problem when you introduce pay into anything. It becomes a game that you want to optimize. So what is the set of rules for defining success that, when optimized, will actually translate to success, and not just standardized tests 2.0 where we're all just gaming the system to get A's?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Mr. Trudeau, how do they handle education in your country? Because I know it's more progressive than in the U.S.
Well, I mean, I graduated high school in 2007, so that was 11 years ago. Unfortunately, I have not been to post-secondary education since, and so I am not too well versed in the educational field here in Canada, but from what I can remember, it's honestly fairly similar to the US. Like, we have tests that are just standardized all throughout Canada. Basically, you know, same scoring system, A's, B's, so on. Honestly, our educational system is pretty shitty.
Well, like
So,
in Canada, how did they determine if a student, quote unquote, passed a grade? Like, how could you, in theory, like, for example, fail fourth grade and not progress onto the next grade?
Yeah, I can't remember what grade he failed, but I had a friend who, I think it was grade 5. I can't quite remember, but he had to do one of the really early grades a couple times. Like, it was either grade 2 or
Yeah,
grade
Ricky.
5 or something.
Yeah,
like
I know
that.
Ricky failed his grade 4 and his grade 10. I like that you guys call it grades there. It's like grade 4 as opposed to 4th grade. It's way better. We should start doing that in the U.S.
But basically, like, to graduate high school, you needed, I think, a total of 40 credits.
Technically, in the U.S.,
But,
it's a credit-based system as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. The Prime Minister's mother wanted to say goodnight to him. But, yeah.
How sweet, Mrs. Trudeau.
Isn't she, though? To pass, I believe you needed 40 credits and 40 hours of community service.
Oh,
like
you need
that.
community service hours.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same now. I don't know if you still need to do that. But back then, yeah, we did need to do it and get 40 hours of community service done.
Interesting.
So,
But I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of our teachers were just as bad as some of the teachers in the US, where they just don't really care about the students. They just, they just follow the curriculum, and you're here, great. If not, whatever. Do your work. Don't make a scene, don't talk back, kind of thing, which is understandable. You don't want to waste a teacher's time, but I just felt like a lot of the teachers didn't actually care about the students. They just wanted their paycheck.
yeah.
And so a lot of us, like myself included, like we didn't really care about school. Like I barely passed high school, so like I actually had to call and make sure I was graduating. I didn't really care to go. I didn't want to go. I felt like it was pointless.
And even so, you wound up being the Prime Minister of Canada in the end. That's pretty darn
yes.
impressive.
Yeah, I am freaking fantastic, man. Well done.
So let's skip the GPU and RAM going up. We've talked a lot about tech tonight. We can move that to another night. But speaking of my boy Trudeau, let's move on to one of our favorite segments.
I like it. What's up with you?
Well, I just found this out today. Apparently, what's up with your boy Trudeau here is that my liberal government decided to cut funding for the CNIB, which stands for the Canadian National Institute for the Blind. And what this, yes, the CNIB. And what this institution does is converts, just regular literature, like books and whatnot that, people with normal vision can read, into other formats of books, like, Braille, basically, and audiobooks and whatnot. And I guess starting April 1st, oddly enough, the CNIB will no longer receive government funding for converting conventional books into accessible formats. And to quote the CNIB, the president of such organization, John Rafferty, stated that the CNIB is disappointed and deeply troubled that the federal government has not addressed their budget requests for $3 million to support accessible book production. Personally, I don't see why they decided to cut the funding, considering our government apparently receives tens of billions of dollars to, for the budget to distribute to all of our systems and functions and whatnot. So why couldn't they spare $3 million? Because apparently, on average, the CNIB converts 2,000 new titles a year to audiobooks and Braille books and whatnot for those with a disability, and transforms roughly 5,000 previously converted books into other accessible formats.
Well, now, so it is sad because that's definitely a cool service, but we also have the whole commercial audiobook market that's huge right now. So maybe it's not so much that, because when it started, I know, way back in the day, audiobooks weren't a thing. But now we all have smartphones and Audible, And I feel like one of those companies could get a lot of positive PR in light of this, is saying like, hey, if you're blind and you're in Canada, you get a free ebook, a free audiobook every month.
Yeah. There you go, like a subscription.
There you go. So if you're, or even just not in Canada, just like, hey, anywhere, if you're blind, have a free audiobook every month. Because they have tons of them. You know, and then that will get you using their service, and then maybe you buy more. Or, you know, if you have the membership in the, you know, Canadian Association for the Blind, you know, you can get a special coupon code for a free one every month or something like that. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. So, yeah, they're not going to be getting that $3 million from the government, but, you know, private industry is already really well poised to take over for that. And then you get to spend that $3 million on something that there isn't a private industry that's really capable of taking up the slack for.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that, although it is sad, you know, to quote Mr. Rafferty, he says, it's sadly ironic that a budget titled Equality Plus Growth actually puts up a fundamental barrier to equality and growth for print-disabled Canadians. Like, that is sad, but like you said, is it that big of a deal? Because there are already...
I mean, I know when I was a kid, when I went to the library, they had, like, with cassette tapes, they had tens of thousands of cassette tapes at the library. Just all sorts of random shit. And, you know, now, maybe they should just start giving those away. Like, hey, we have tons and tons of cassettes, and, like, why don't we just digitize those and give those out? You know?
Yeah.
So, I really like audiobooks. They're one of my favorite ways to consume media. I don't do it much often, but I used to do it all the time. What about you, Turtle? Are you a big audiobook guy?
I'm not a very big audiobook person.
I'm sorry, yes. I served with Mr. Rathers in the Canadian Special Forces, and his code name was Turtle.
Yes.
That's why I get it mixed up all the time.
Yeah, no, I totally understand it. I do it all the time myself. You know.
And it's Canadian spelled with a K. It's a secret country located outside of the revolving ice wall that is Antarctica. It used to be called Lemuria. All of these things are true, and everything I say is a creative work of fiction.
True.
Oh yeah, 100%. And on that, like the I can't remember what sport it was, but the local sports team was called the Canadians.
Oh yeah, Montreal Canadiens.
Well, no, it was what was it called? Canadians Cool Club or something like that.
That's pretty sweet. The Canadian Cools Club. Why did Spiggles just send me a GIF of a kid saying, "You're not my dad"? I'm not your dad. I am not your dad. In fact, you are older than me, and if I was your dad, then we'd have some weird Back to the Future fuckery going on, which we don't.
Yes, you are a time traveler.
Yep. Just call me John Tidor. Which brings us to somehow our segment Meme of the Week. So you've all been out in the week memeing, as you do, you know. What is the meme that really stuck with you this week? What is your pick for this week's Meme of the Week? We'll go to Mr. Rather first for a hot take.
No, I have been thoroughly enjoying the Africa meme. Been thoroughly enjoying catching the memes down in Africa.
So what you send me a video of this, and we'll play it, and people will hear the audio. But so I was listening to that song probably, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was making a video mixtape, as you do, and as one does, I put a metal cover of that song in that mixtape, and now is it like the new hotness? Are people remixing that song?
I honestly don't know. It's just I've been seeing it pop up everywhere.
Well, send me the link to your favorite instance of this, and we'll review it live, on air, because like pineapple pizza, it too is an absurdity, and that's what we do here. We talk about absurdities and pineapple. See, there are certain circumstances where pineapple pizza is okay, in my opinion. You know, if you're in Hawaii, absolutely go for it. If you're on a beach, absolutely go for it. If you're in Florida, absolutely go for it. But not like during the winter in Minnesota. You know, that is not only an absurdity, it's an abomination. Heresy. So you got a link for me yet, Mr. Rathers?
Sorry, I'm finding a good one first. I'm having to find a good one first.
You gotta find the dankest of the dank.
I'm trying to find the dankest of the dank.
Well, while he is finding the dankest of the dank,
have you got one for us, Mr. Trudeau?
I rather enjoy this. I thought it was quite clever.
Okay, let's see what we've got here. All right.
The one at the top, the very first one.
This is for you folks at home, not enabled with a video ray psycho television, produced by Sanyo Electronics. This is a picture of Cookie Monster dressed up like a gentleman, sitting in a nice leatherback wing chair, and the caption reads, "I don't always change my internet settings, but when I do, I enable cookies."
Ah! Gold.
Hits me in the nostalgia. I like the sepia tone of the whole image. It really ties itself together. And I like the topical nature of it. Cookies. You know, cookies are
quite delicious.
I found one for you.
All right, 9gag. Oh. I've been a 9gag in a long time. All right.
I know, right?
Here we go. Toto Africa in a Volvo 240 while door is open. All right. So I'm gonna refresh this.
It's a little video, so you have to watch it.
I'm gonna refresh this, and I'm gonna turn on the volume here. Okay, he's opening the door. It's the car alarm. Now he's undoing the thing under his dash, unplugging the alarm. Thank you. Electronics and relays box has been opened. He's now digging through it, grabbing a what appears to be a fuse labeled Toto. He's now walking out into his backyard, petting his dog.
That's a cat.
Petting his cat that looks like a dog. Opening the door. Plugging the new fuse into where the old fuse was. Putting the key in the ignition. Oh my.
Oh my, indeed.
Oh my.
Wow.
Oh my.
Wow.
That is pretty funny.
Mr. Toto in Africa, Volvo 240 while door is open. Hit me up, dude. I want one of these. I don't even have a car. I will buy a car just to put this in there. I want you to know that.
And oddly enough, there's a picture of Mr. Rathers and a colored gentleman behind him to the right of said Toto, Africa, and a Volvo 240 while doors open. Hello, Mr. Matters.
Oh, this is pretty good. This is pretty good, Mr. Rathers. It's like a nice little chiptune thing too, you know? It's very and it's the whole song, you know, it's not just like a little snip of it. It's way better than that fucking ding 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 thing. Yeah.
Yep.
This gets a 32 out of it gets 32 Vovos and 12 Africas, whatever that's worth. Yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot. So I guess I have to come up with one now. I've been I had kind of a week. I haven't really been up on the memes of the week. Just been traveling. Although I did have, instead of a meme of the week for me, I'm just going to have the weirdest fucking thing that happened to me all week. So, we were...
Well, before you go into your
oh boy.
story,
Oh boy, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Prime Minister.
I would just like to announce that the Prime Minister has to use the little Prime Minister's room, so I will return momentarily.
I don't feel comfortable with that.
Hey.
I'm trying to find another soundbite that adequately captures how I'm feeling right now. Ah, here we go. There we go. But yeah, so it was weird because we were going to my friend's apartment to stay. I was on a business trip, and we were standing outside waiting for him to come down and let us in, and this woman walks out of the apartment and starts like free associating at us. Like my friend Mark Twain was wearing a jacket that said Colombia on it, and she went up to him and she's like, "Are you from Colombia?" He's like, she's like, "You are not Colombian. This is a flag. Are you an American?" Like, and she was just like going, like, it was terrifying. You know, like, you know what you are? She like took 2 steps back. "Do you know what you are?" "What?" "Ill-dressed." And so like she had like
that way.
Yes. Just, you know, like, "You have a beard, but you are not a beard. But you have one. I do not have a beard. I do not want to be." I mean, it was just like constant. It was the most surreal thing that I've ever seen in my life. Because she was absolutely insane, but entirely non-threatening. Like, it was sitting there like, this lady is just gone. Just, there isn't a person here. She is on another planet, but she's not a danger to herself or others. She's
Allegedly.
it was just like, I don't even know, like a postmodern rap battle that she was having with random strangers. So like, we're standing down there, and I just start engaging her because I'm like, well, like, she's just gonna bother us, so I'll just answer her questions. And so she's sitting there going like, you know, "Have you ever been to Mars?" And I'm like, "No." "What do you do for a living?" "I don't really know." "Neither do I. That's why I'm asking." And it was just like, what the fuck? So the manager of the property, I actually know her pretty well because I used to live there. She comes out to like rescue us and brings us in, and she like gets us inside, and she's like, "I called the police," and like, blah, blah, blah. She came in here and she was talking about it was something stupid, like she was looking for Jeff Foxworthy or something. Like,
Wow.
I forget what it was, and she was ranting about aliens and like Colombians and the government, and I'm just like, I don't know, ma'am, I really don't know. And so, like I say, and I mean, I'm convinced it is the end times, but it gets better. So we go in, we crash, we're getting ready to go get dinner or whatever. We go to dinner at the Japanese restaurant Sushi Jin, out there. Amazing Japanese place. Highly recommend it. And on the way back, we're walking past the Panera Bread.
And that woman.
And we see this woman inside harassing like a group of 5 people while 2 police officers just stand there with these looks of utter bemusement on their faces. Because she's not doing anything wrong.
She's just being really weird.
She's just being incredibly weird. So I imagine that she had to go to jail. But I hope she's getting the help that she needs. And even if she isn't, it's nice that there are some harmless, crazy people out there fighting the good fight for those.
Fighting the good fight, ladies and
The
gentlemen.
noble fight.
The noble good fight.
So, I don't know. Do you guys have... That's a good question. Have either of you guys encountered a harmless, crazy person before? It's a very surreal experience.
Oh, I have. I can't remember what it entailed, though.
Well, I mean, you're probably remembering your trip to India, where, you know, you dressed like Aladdin, and...
You know.
It didn't hurt anybody, but it was pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
You know, it was a little strange.
You know, being from Canada, you're pretty used to the chill weather here, I guess you could say. So, like, all of a sudden, just being in India, hot. That's all I could focus on the entire time. Man, it's just... The mirrors are really hot over here. Really hot in India. But no crazy encounters. Really. I mean, unless you include myself. Why did I dress up like that again?
And do you have one, Dan? Anyone that springs to the mind?
Oh.
No, like a harmless, crazy person.
Crazy person. I don't think I've met. No. I can't think of like instances where I've met someone where I'm like, wow, you are nuts. But I mean, I've definitely been around some people who were definitely off of their rockers, where they endangered to those around themselves. No. I stay long enough to learn about them a whole lot. No.
Yeah, you took the sensible approach. But you know, not everybody takes the sensible approach, and sometimes that's why we love them. And that brings us to our final segment here on Pineapple Pizza and Other Absurdities here on Radio 660 The Beacon, broadcasting live from an undisclosed location in the northern Canadian wilderness. We'd like to bring you the Florida Man section, and the harbinger of the Florida Man section is, as always, the Florida Man song. So those of you in the studio with me today, you will not hear the song unless you are tuned in to the broadcast, which may make you go insane trying to contribute and listen at the same time. But for those of you at home, or those of you listening around the world, you're going to hear a song here, and then after you hear the song, we're going to talk about what Florida Man, our favorite superhero, has been up to this week.
Stay tuned.
Every state has a man around. Some of them heroes and some of them clowns. Some of them fictional and some of them true. Some exploring and some like to brew. But one state's got the most famous of all. You might meet him if you went to the mall. The media mentions him every day. And here's what the papers say. Florida man flies gyrocopter onto Capitol lawn. Florida man spends 2 days trapped in an unlocked closet. Florida man threatens to shoot dog but shoots himself in the face. Florida man wears fuck the police shirt to court, wins case. Florida man, the most famous of all. You might meet him if you went to the mall.
So that was the Florida Man song, written and performed by Stephen Boros, a.k.a. Big Tiki of Big Tiki and the Mai Tais, on the ukulele. And, man, that's some beautiful stuff.
All credit goes to Big Tiki.
All credit to Big Tiki. Let's see. Florida Man takes horse into Miami Beach nightclub.
Oh yes, I actually have that. I have a similar video.
You know.
That's actually
my first question is why did he have a horse in Miami Beach?
Let's see.
That's actually pretty creepy because I found a similar article of a woman riding a horse in a nightclub.
I think this is it. Yeah, it's a Miami Beach club has lost its license and a criminal case may come from a stunt involving a horse. At the Mokai Club late Wednesday night or early Thursday morning, a horse carrying a man and a woman in a string bikini was led into the crowded nightclub. CBS Miami reports. It's a horse, a real horse, a woman's voice can be heard to exclaim on cell phone video. Ixamar Palumbo posted a video on Facebook which showed the horse's entrance. The white horse, out of its element and appearing uncomfortable, took a nasty spill on the club's hard floor, knocking the woman in the scantily clad string bikini off its back. People could be heard screaming, stunned, as the animal struggled to get back on its feet. The handler then tried to maneuver it out of the crowd. Joel Franco, not to be confused with James Franco, posted a video of the fall on Twitter. Authorities have since located the horse and deemed it to be healthy and safe. On social media, one angry poster declared, "Shame on you, Mokai, #animal cruelty." The club owner, Roman Jones, denied any part in the incident with the horse. Animal cruelty is an abhorrent and vile act, said Miami Beach Mayor Dan Gelber. I fully support the immediate actions taken by the city manager and his staff to ensure that this is remedied quickly. Moral of the story, keep your horse at home. Leave it at home.
Mm-hmm, yep. Unless, of course, smart cars don't, electric smart cars don't actually get off the ground. In which case,
would you get paid more if you if your Uber was actually a horse?
Probably. I mean,
Maybe.
Dude, there needs to be an Uber for, like, fairy tale carriages. You know, like, if it's going really bad on a date, but you want to salvage it, you call, like, fucking Cinderella-er. You use the Cinderella-er app, and a guy in a carriage shows up. There's a market for that.
There's gotta be there.
Florida man sucks down 16 vodkas, eats one chimichanga over the course of 8.5 hours, and then refuses to pay his tab.
What a dick.
Yeah.
Florida woman sues Hamburger Mary's for $1.5 million, saying she was injured by a drag queen's breast.
What?
Tampa, Florida. A woman who visited Hamburger Mary's in Tampa is now suing the establishment for $1.5 million after she says she was injured by a drag queen's breast while at dinner with friends in 2015. Neldon Molina says she was with friends and family at the restaurant for dinner to celebrate a friend's birthday, according to the complaint. This is the first time Molina had ever visited the restaurant. She claims that she didn't see any signs of any special events. She was eating her fish and chips dinner at approximately 8:45 p.m. when she heard music and said someone began to speak, and then the crowd cheered and clapped. She turned her chair around to see what was going on and saw a person dancing on the stage that was in the restaurant behind her to the left. She started watching and overheard another table say that the
Oh my.
Oh, honey. During a drag show.
That end part. I was like waving the mic around, so I think it may have gotten unplugged somewhere in there. But yes, 1.5 million, excruciating cervical pain and uncontrollable headaches from having her head smashed against a drag queen's tits repeatedly.
Oh my goodness.
It's forever settling the real question of whether or not you should have plastic surgery to look more like a drag queen. What would your drag queen be name? What would your drag queen name be, Dan?
My drag queen name?
Yes.
Is it bad that the first thing that popped into my head was the name of that porn star that Donald Trump had a thing with?
Stormy Daniels?
Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels is pretty cute, I have to say. You could be Stormy Daniels. Dan Rather. See? What about you, Mr. Trudeau?
Oh, I'm not sure. There are just so many good ones.
You can't cop out that easily.
Like Hell of a Bottom Carter or
Wow.
Chernobyl.
Oh, hell of a bottom Carter. Let me think.
Or Lowest Common Denominator. Or
Yeah.
Juana Bang.
Wanna Bang, that's a good one. That's a good one. I'm trying to think of one that I would like. I don't know, it'd probably be like Strawberry Crystal or something like that.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Very sound like a very delicious drink.
Strawberry Crystal. Oh yeah, boy. I am a long, tall drink of cool water, as they used to say during the Depression. Let's see what else we got. We got Florida man steals an ambulance, complains to arresting officer about long wait times at the hospital. Florida man advertises affordable plastic surgery on Instagram, even though he's not a doctor. Maybe he did the drag queen's tits. Maybe this is a maybe this is a vast conspiracy. The Russians did it. Florida man waits for his Lamborghini with an armful of stolen M&Ms and Swisher Sweet cigars.
Lovely. Guy's got class.
Florida man gets 20 years for $66 million Medicaid fraud he used to buy 19 healthcare agencies and a meat supermarket. Florida man has headache, finds out wife shot him in the head while he slept.
Huh.
How are you that bad at shooting someone in the head?
That's incredibly.
Wow.
That's incredibly lucky.
How did and
incredibly dense.
Florida man calls 911 911 to report missing cocaine.
Good.
Florida teacher hosts white nationalist podcast. What? let's not do that one. Let's move on from that one.
Moving on, ladies and gentlemen.
Florida man tries to rob a store with finger guns.
Oh God.
Florida man has 6-month love affair with dolphin named Dolly.
Aww. Can we focus on that one for a minute? Like, let's learn about the happy couple.
Okay. A self-confessed zoophile who wrote a book based on his 6-month sexual relationship with a dolphin said that people shouldn't consider it an unnatural act. Malcolm Brenner, 63, spoke to the Mirror in the wake of controversy about a BBC documentary in which Margaret Howe Lovett admits having sex with a dolphin as part of a scientific study. The full-time writer had a 6-month sexual relationship with Dolly the dolphin at an amusement park in Florida in 1971. He told how the female mammal, quote, came on to him while he was in the pool with her. He then waited until the water park had closed for the day and her male companion had been put away before getting it on. He even penned the 2011 book, quote, Wet Goddess, based on his experiences, and feels Margaret should have been brave enough to speak out sooner. It's only unusual in the sense that it doesn't happen very commonly, so people think it's wrong. There's something quite transcendental about making love with a dolphin. The dolphin is a very aware, intelligent, and creative creature, and making love is a consummate act. I was given free access to the dolphins and became friends with her by going swimming with her. She was very special. She announced her intentions to me by positioning herself so that I was rubbing against her. I called it a relationship because that's what it was. When she died, it made me feel terrible, and I fell into a depression which lasted 5 years.
Wow.
The relationship didn't break any laws, as bestiality was only banned in Florida as of 2011.
Wow. 2011, huh? The last time
Dolly.
you could
Wow.
took it till 2011. You could still bang your cat. Oh.
Fucking.
Rip Dolly.
What is it with the U.S. government and funding studies where people have sex with dolphins? Like, seriously, there's multiple times. Like, there was one where they built this house. They built a house that was flooded. And they were like, we're going to have humans and dolphins live together. And the male dolphins just wanted to rape the women all the time in this house. So they're like, okay, we need to have them get along. So we're going to give everybody in the house massive amounts of LSD and tell the women in the house that they should probably jerk off the dolphins so that they're not so frustrated. They spent millions of dollars, millions of American dollars on this study.
Millions.
Why? Why did they do this?
Millions of dollars.
Billions and billions and billions of American dollars have been spent trying to figure out if it's whether or not it's okay to have sex with dolphins. And I think we can all say, I'm going to say right here, the official position of the Canadian government, spelled with a K, is that you shouldn't be able to have sex with dolphins. I don't know. What do you think about that, Dan Rather? Are you willing to put your weight behind not having sex with dolphins?
I'm 100% okay with not having sex with dolphins.
And when can we expect dolphin sex to be banned in Canada?
Yesterday.
Good.
Yes.
Good. I feel much better now.
As do I.
And speaking of Canada, Florida woman's roof damaged by Canadian Air Force raft being dropped on it.
Huh.
What are you doing flying your, one plane over Florida, Mr. Prime Minister?
That had a raft on it, too.
Yeah.
It was the annual canoeing trip, or I guess rafting trip. We were going somewhere rather special. Go there every year, and it was a shame when we lost our raft. I feel sorry for the damaged property, and they were compensated generously. I feel like.
Wait, where is he talking about?
don't know. He's Canadian. We don't have our Canadian translator here tonight. We're just gonna nod and smile. Here's two good ones. Florida man stuffs entire meat department down his pants.
Wow.
Florida woman, a state legislator, sponsors bills entirely based on whether or not God's voice told her to.
Excellent. Excellent.
Valid argument.
And
Florida man wants Stormy Daniels recognized as a public health risk. Florida man charged for calls about tiny clams. Okay, I gotta know what this is. Okay, man charged for 911 calls about tiny clams. And I have the notice to appear right here. Nelson Augusto committed the following offense. Nelson called 911 to report a snail complaint. No, a civil complaint. 911 dispatcher gave Nelson non-emergency number, called 911 again. I made contact with Nelson at Nelson's house. No, at Carby's Seafood Shack? Yeah, Carby's Seafood Shack. Nelson advised he called 911 because he did not want to pay for clams he ate/ordered because...
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
what a world we live in.
Oh my goodness. Oh, Florida man. No, Florida man.
I wonder if you Google how to rob a bank, is like the NSA immediately like, huh?
Just, that's odd.
A live alligator.
All right then.
You know, if that's what he likes to do, that's what he likes to do.
That won't help him. Ouch. Never change. Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me. It was a delight, pleasure. I look forward to being back.
That was great. Great experience. Great experience. Yeah, no, it's a great experience.